All right, so I just got back from driving to Abilene, Texas to check on my father. I drove approximately 1,200 miles. I took about 32 hours to drive out there. Um, so let's see, today's Friday. So I left last Friday at 10:50 a.m. from Riverside County and got to Abilene by 9 p.m. Central Time, but I left 10:50 a.m. Riverside County Pacific Standard Time. Um, let's see some of the differences that I've noticed uh, between Texas and Southern California. Well, I can't compare all of Texas because I haven't been to all of Texas. I've only been uh, to Abilene, and then the other places along the I-10 and 20 that I stopped along the way. So what I've seen is Texans are not health conscious. I've seen a lot of obesity, and it's really sad how the Texans take their health. Um, health is twofold. It's not just the gym. It's not just exercise. You cannot exercise away a poor diet. And when I say obesity, I'm not talking about a 5'2" woman that is 150 pounds or 140 pounds. I'm talking about a woman that's 5'2" and she's 210 or 250 pounds. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a woman that wears a size 16 like I used to. So, I once in a while I'll go out to a fast food restaurant here. I do not normally eat fast food. And once in a great while I will go out and get some fast food. I do not make it a part of my normal daily life where some people will have fast food 3 to 5 times a week. I might have fast food maybe one time every 2 or 3 months because usually it will fast food will make me very tired, especially Popeyes. I go to Popeyes. I had some, and I don't know when it was, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and I was down for the count the very next day because of the additives. So, um, staying clean, eating whole foods, plant based, and if people don't know what that is, then that's just meaning a lot of cruciferous vegetables, kale, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, broccoli, and eating those and seasoning them with maybe garlic or onion powder, or seasoning them with a little bit of sea salt or maybe some hummus, um, something that is very dense with a lot of nutrients, cruciferous vegetables. And I've noticed that if I stay with that and then have, maybe Brazil nuts or pistachios, or, I'm talking about a handful of uh, macadamia nuts. They're full of good fat. Um, Pecans. I'm staying away from peanuts because peanuts are a dirty, dirty nut. People think peanuts are a nut. Well, they're a legume. They're a dirty nut. So I'm not talking about peanuts here. Um, and as long as I continue to eat the whole foods, plant based, and stay away from the cheese and stay away from the dairy and the gluten and just eat, I would say, half of my diet, half of my whatever I eat for the day, half of it vegetables, then I don't feel sick and I don't feel full. Meat, especially red meat, will make me feel very full. And so, I just don't normally go out to fast food. But when I do not get sick. I don't get sick at all. When I went out to Texas and I stopped at Starbucks and I got a coffee, I had a frappuccino, I got sick. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I've had dairy before, and I've never gotten like sick to my stomach. That hasn't happened. Um, Usually, if I have dairy, I get bloated. I might get a stomach ache. My face will swell up. It's called dairy face. It causes inflammation, and that's when you're obese. It's really an inflammation problem. That's what the body does. It creates an inflammation response. People think obesity is really a fat problem. It's really an inflammation problem. And the only way to get rid of that is to eat non-inflammatory foods, which apparently Texans don't want to eat non-inflammatory foods. They just don't want to eat those, good fats, the nuts and um, the seeds like chia seeds or flaxseed. They don't want to eat that. I guess it's boring to them. So I got sick. Each time I went out, I had that coffee and from Starbucks and got sick. And then a few days later, I figured I'd try some chicken meal from Sonic, and I don't think I've ever ate at Sonic before. I don't remember. There's Sonics out here in Riverside County. I don't think I've ever went to a Sonic at all. And whatever I had, it was chicken, and the meal came with tater tots and a few onion rings, and I got sick after that. Um, and I said, okay, maybe it's just something in the fast food in Texas that's making me sick. So I just said, don't do it. Just go to HEB and get some food there at the store at HEB, and you can, you know, just get something really simple. That way I'm not going to fast food restaurants. And um, I don't know what people are eating, but it's not healthy because I saw a lot of obesity there. Oh, and yeah, I remember going to Starbucks and I wanted a simple like breakfast burrito. Well, whatever they did, they took the tortilla and they like deep fried it. Yeah, I don't. It was like a deep fried breakfast burrito, or I don't want to say it was a chimichanga, but they did something to the flour tortilla, and I didn't want what I got. It was not as appealing as it was advertised to be. I just wanted a simple breakfast burrito, and this Starbucks in Abilene, they ruined it. They did. They ruined it because they fried the flour tortilla. It would have been fine if I just had a few hash browns and a few eggs and a little bit of sausage and no cheese in this breakfast burrito, and they ruined it because they fried the tortilla. And I don't know if it was undercooked eggs or if it was the cheese that made me sick. I actually had to research a little bit about the food in Texas and specifically Abilene, and I found a lot of reports of people saying that places had uncooked eggs in Abilene. So um, that's the big thing is people are not health conscious. I guess they just want their fried food and they want their steak And I don't know what they eat, but the women eat like shit. Um, they're not health conscious like women out here. Um, okay, let's move on from the food and the obesity. Driving. Uh, well, first off, there's a lot less traffic. And I arrived on a Saturday night at 9 p.m. So I was, I don't know, in El Paso by maybe 1 p.m. Mountain Time, I think, around there. And it was a Saturday night, so, or Saturday afternoon. So even for a big city like that, it seemed to be less traffic than Riverside County. And I kept on driving and driving and driving and driving. And I'm like, gosh, I'm still not in Abilene. Gosh, I'm still not in Van Horn and all these other cities. I'm like driving forever. But there was just not a lot of traffic. And the what I've noticed now, I don't know if all these people are Texans, or I don't know if the people were transplants. I can't tell you that. But for the most part, from what I saw, most people were going about 70 miles an hour. Very few people. Every once in a while, you would get those people that were going about 90. There were times where I was going 80 on a highway, either 10 or to 20 going up to Abilene, and I was going about 80, and every once in a while I would get a person coming up very quick, very fast, and I had to get over on the right lane to let them pass me. But for the most part, I didn't see a lot of people going 90. But the good thing is, I guess, if you want to go 90, you can, because it's not like Riverside County. You cannot go 90 out here in the Inland Empire. Um, if you do, you'd probably have to go at midnight because there's just too much traffic on the roads, um, you know, anytime the sun is up. Um, I was going about 50 or 60 along the was it the 60? So between like, gosh, Indio, was I in Indio? Between Indio and Moreno Valley, I was going about 60 or 70. There was just so much traffic. You can't go 70, but you can in Texas. You can. Um, Another thing about Texas is the humidity. The humidity is, to me, extremely um, discouraging for me to move there. I don't want to move there because the humidity is it's sticky. And that's the blessed thing about living in Southern California is, yeah, it might get hot, but it's not hot like Phoenix, okay? It's not like 112. It's not hot like the Coachella Valley. When I left on Friday, I think it got up to 106 or 108 in the Coachella Valley, and it was very dry. It actually reminded me of Las Vegas. But when I got to Texas, oh boy, different story. Very humid, not hot, just humid and sticky, and just reminded me of Indiana and Milwaukee. Um, the good thing that I noticed was in Abilene, there was a lot of trees and no dirt. You come out here to the IE, certain places, certain cities have a lot of dirt. It's just dirt everywhere. And it just depends on the area that you go to. You're going to find more dirt in certain cities. Um, I did notice that when I was out in Abilene, my knee hurt less. So I don't know how the humidity uh, helps a knee problem, but and I don't know what else is going on. It could be like maybe I strained my hamstring or something, but when I stand or walk, I've noticed it doesn't really hurt out there, but I got back out here and I'm like, oh, my knee pain's back. So I consider that a plus if my knee doesn't hurt. And then the other thing is the locals. I can't tell you how many people are transplants in Texas, but what I can tell you is out of the people that I talked to, all of the people that I talked to, there were a lot of transplants. And the transplants said they were from Orange County. I asked them, are you from here? And they said, no, we're from Southern California. And I'd go, I'm from Southern California. And they'd ask me where, and I said, Riverside County. Do you know where that is? And they said, oh, yes, I'm from Orange County. And I would say I talked to about 6 or 7 transplants. Every single one of them said they were from Orange County. And one lady said that she couldn't find a job in Orange County. I guess she graduated. I don't know what degree she had, but she graduated from college in 2011, and she lived in Orange County. I think she said she lived in Anaheim, and she could not find a job once she graduated in 2011. So she had a cousin in Abilene, and she moved out there, and once she moved, she found a job within 3 weeks. So that tells me that maybe Texas has more jobs, and maybe there's less competition out there because there's just less people. And maybe the employers out there, I don't know, I'm not sure, but maybe the employers out there value somebody having an MBA, or maybe they value somebody having a bachelor's degree. I have no idea if they do or not. But I think it's just a population issue of too many people living in California and too many people applying for one job. And maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's just the more people you know, the more chances you get of getting hired. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. And then I talked to a few people about Austin, and one group of people, the lady said, "Oh, no, don't move to Austin," and I was just like taken aback, like, what's so bad about Austin? I was trying to get a clear picture of what's so bad about Austin, and they said, "Oh, it's bad there. It's bad. Don't move to Austin." So what is bad to one person could be amazing to another, and I didn't really get a clear picture of what's so bad about Austin. I said, what is it, unsafe? Is it like South Central LA? What? And they said, well, it's just weird. You got a lot of weird people down there. Well, what's weird? I don't know what weird means. And they said that everybody comes to Austin from out of state. So you got a lot of transplants. It's not just Californians. Everybody wants to go to Austin because it's the capital. So one lady said, well, you can't barbecue in Austin because there's people out there that say the stench of the barbecue offends them. Okay, that's weird to me. But let's say there's a drag king show. Or let's say there's a drag queen show. And I don't know, it's a very well-known gay bar. And, Friday nights they have a drag queen show every Friday night. And, it's a very well-known area. And, the street is just parked, and it's hard to park and everything, and you see people on the street and they're all drag queens. That could be weird to somebody that's very, very conservative. So yeah, I don't know what's so bad about Austin, but I did not have time to go there because I was concentrating on my father and his health, and going between the house that I was staying in and my father's apartment took a lot of energy out of me going back and forth those 4 days that I was there. And that's about it. There's good things about Texas, and then there's not so good things. Another observation I made is the flags. There is an American flag almost on every single city block in Abilene. And I was just like, wow, they're really, they have that USA pride there in Texas. I did see the Texas state flag, but I think I saw the American flag a little bit more. And then it wasn't really talked about. It was more of this, it was like in the air, Texas pride. Like I didn't hear the words, I'm a Texan and I'm proud. I didn't really hear that. It was more of a coming out of the pores of people. It was like this, I don't know, I can't explain it. It just, these people seemed very proud of living there. And again, I can't tell you, out of all the people that I passed up in the supermarket or all the people I passed up on the freeway, I can't tell you how many of those were born there and how many were transplants. It just seemed like a lot of people there were very prideful of either living there, living there, or being born there. Another thing I've noticed, some of the people in Texas are slow. I don't know if it's like that everywhere, but I was in some outskirts city. I wasn't in Abilene. I don't know where I was, but I asked this lady, how far is da city? And she said 40 minutes. Wrong. She was clueless. She was wrong. I didn't want to tell her she was wrong. Maybe I should have and told her, hey, you might want to check your GPS. This city that I was asking for was about 60 to 70 minutes away, not 40. So, and she said, well, when you go out to El Paso, that's an hour ahead. So, and I didn't want to make her feel bad. Maybe I should have, but she said, that's an hour ahead. And I wanted to say, no, it's an hour behind. So if it's 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, then it's 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I wanted to, really bad, I wanted to explain to this woman. And I thought, gosh, she's that dense? She's that dense? Are they that slow in Texas? Or is it just that woman in that town, wherever it was? And I don't even know. I don't know if that was, I don't know if that was Odessa or if that was maybe it was Midland. I'm not exactly sure. But she was sadly mistaken about the time it took to get to the next city. She didn't know. And I guess maybe the people out there, they stay in their little town and that's what they do, and they don't know nothing else. They just know their little town, and they don't travel, they don't get out, they don't do anything. They just stay there in a little town, they go to work, and that's it. Is there anything else on my... No. That's it. So we got some positives. You want to blow 90 miles an hour there in Texas, you can. There's not a lot of traffic. It's not like California. It's not like the Inland Empire. Oh, and they love their guns. They love their guns. They really do. I went to Frontier, Texas in Abilene and looked around in their gift shop, and they had toy guns there. So, guns is a big thing, and then hats. Their cowboy hats are a big thing. I'm not saying that everybody there, not every man wore a cowboy hat. It's not like that, but you go into a gift shop, they had cowboy hats there. It was something that you saw in every single store. There were cowboy hats there. And that's about it. I really like the city of El Paso. I'm not saying that I would move there. It's a little bit too big of a state, but El Paso seemed like a good city. But I can't really judge because I was only on the freeway. I didn't drive through the city. So it was a lot of traffic, but I didn't have to weave in and out of the traffic to maneuver. I didn't, it wasn't like California where you got somebody going real slow, going 50 or 60, and everybody else is going 70, and then you have to weave in and out because some idiot is going 60 and everybody else is going 70. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't, I was like, ooh, El Paso's nice. They got lots of drivers and they know how to drive. They know how to drive. So, yeah, and that's my review of Texas and from what I've seen being there 4 days.